Hey, David. Hey, congratulations for Willy's Wonderland.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Hey, not a problem. Hey, so let's start off with the easy question because this
Okay.
movie is bonkers. Okay, it gives me chills, it gives me nightmares, and this is the reason why I never walk into Chuck E. Cheese. So, so why did you want to do a movie like Willy's Wonderland?
First and foremost, getting to work with Nicolas Cage, that was a dream come true. He couldn't have been nicer. He couldn't have been cooler. He's the coolest guy on set. He's the coolest guy in the room. And he's just a consummate professional and such a wonderful actor. So I had to work with him. And then the idea, like you said, was just such a bonkers idea. I had a amazing childhood. I went to Chuck E. Cheese. I never feared for my life, but the thought of the animatronics coming to life and doing horrible, horrible things just made me go, I've got to be a part of this movie.
So your childhood, you were a fan of Chuck E. Cheese because my childhood was a little bit different. You
A
know,
little bit different.
I always had those weird nightmares of animatronics, attacking from Chuck E. Cheese or Disney,
Right.
that kind of stuff.
I must have been watching it, seeing it all through rose-colored glasses because I had a blast every time I went to Chuck E. Cheese. So I thought it was fun and good, but the idea of them coming to life is a nightmare, like you said. So, and you can see that in Willy's Wonderland.
So let's talk about your character because you play a deputy
Yep.
in a small town, but I want to clarify. You play sort of like I want to say a happy-go-lucky deputy who didn't know better because you're fair. I think you're fairly new to the job. That's the concept of your character. So you didn't. So basically, you're going into this not knowing what's actually going on.
Yeah, so I play Deputy Sheriff Evan Olson and Beth Grant's character, who plays the sheriff of the town. And I loved working with Beth. She's so wonderful. She brings me in as extra help for the night, what we think is going to be a slow evening. And we get thrown into a crazy hellscape that is Willy's Wonderland that I had no idea about. So I learned very quickly what craziness is going on in the town.
You did actually provide a lot of humor for that scene, especially countering Beth, who is very much more a serious sheriff
Very much so. Yep.
in this. Obviously, there are a lot of twists, but how was it working with Beth? Because I've talked to her before, and she is a delight, but she is like a dramatic actress in her own way.
She is such a brilliant actress, and she is a delight. She is one of the kindest, sweetest human beings you will ever come across. And when you're acting opposite someone who's such an established, such a wonderful actress from No Country for Old Men, or, I mean, she's no stranger to horror. She's been in Child's Play 2 as Mrs. Kettlewell. So we just had some great chemistry playing off of each other. Like you said, her seriousness to my sort of happy-go-lucky, funny moments. And we just became such great friends offset. I've been to her house. I've met her husband and her daughter, Mary, and we played with their dogs, and she's made me lunch, and we've done play readings over Zoom. It was like a dream come true. She is such a wonderful, wonderful human being and such a talent. And the same with my other co-star, Emily Tosta. She is such a tour de force, not only in this film, but in everything she's in. And we got to be very close as well and hang out on set, off set. It was a dream come true to be able to be with such wonderful, wonderful actors and to call them friends.
That's right. Emily played sort of like Beth Grant's somewhat adopted daughter in the film, and very rebellious in her own way.
But justifiable, I think, within the film. So I can see why she is rebellious.
Absolutely. So how did it feel to don that uniform? Obviously acting wise, but
Yeah.
to play a police officer.
It was pretty awesome, I have to say. You know, as you're coming up with the character, you're reading the script, you're making your choices. But I also find once you put the costume on, that's when you start to feel, oh, this is the guy. So you get to really literally step inside his shoes. And when you have your badge on, you have, I think you can see in the trailer, I get tossed my shotgun. It really puts you into the world, and you think, all right, we're about to go and mess some stuff up.
Did you get the chance to actually drive the police car or just act that you're in a police car?
I did actually get to drive the police car, so that was pretty cool.
That is actually pretty cool. But ultimately, you said you wanted to act alongside Nick Cage, and I want to say you did actually have a scene with Nick Cage. How is it working with the great Nick Cage, who I want to say didn't say anything?
He is so cool to work with. Like, he is making some amazing choices in this film because he doesn't have much dialogue at all. So he has to, non-verbally make you feel that he is a tough guy. And he is. I mean, Nick Cage is a tough guy in real life. I mean, there's in that scene that you talk about, I have to tie him up. And all I could think about was, all right, I'm tying up Cameron Poe from Con Air. I can't mess this up. But he couldn't have been cooler. He couldn't have been nicer. He's a wonderful scene partner. And it's just a privilege to not only be in a movie with him, but to get to work with him and chat with him and steal from him. They always say steal from the greats. Well, I've stolen from him since then. I've stolen from Beth Grant. I've stolen from Emily Tosta, and they're the greats for sure.
A lot of people are going to ask you, what is Nick Cage like when the camera's off? When
it's off, super cool, down to earth. We talked about so much stuff. Like, he's a big fan of Godzilla. We talked all types of Godzilla movies. He knows so much about film, comic books. I'm a big Superman fan, so it was a pleasure just to chat with him about Superman and all that sort of stuff. So, but he's so knowledgeable about film and music, and it's a delight to talk to him on set and off set.
That's right. He's unlike what a lot of people think as a tough guy. He's actually a big nerd, isn't he?
I'm a big nerd too, so I think we're both big nerds, and we sort of gravitated toward each other. And there were a lot of guys on set who were working on the film and the crew who had tattoos of Godzilla, and that just sparked more and more conversation. So we really geeked out about sort of old film style stuff, and yeah, it was a blast.
I'm curious, where did all this filming took place? Was this in Georgia? Because it looked like some kind of backwood town somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
Yep. So we were in Georgia. We shot the whole thing in Atlanta.
Wow. That must have been quite some experience for you. But a lot of filming is now happening over there, because I guess Georgia is starting to look like anywhere of America now these days.
Yeah. So there's a ton of filming going on in Atlanta, and it was a blast. And, actually on a couple of days that I had off, I went to the aquarium, which is beautiful in Atlanta. And I did a lot of sightseeing while I was there. Co-stars and we went out and had wonderful dinners. This was all before the pandemic. So we sort of, right before everything started to shut down, we just had a great time. We went out as a cast and a crew. We got very, very close together. But yeah, we were in some very distant parts of Atlanta that no one had really known about, different parts of it. But it was great. I really enjoyed it. And the people were so kind and lovely to us.
Now, are you a big fan of horror movies?
Well, I'm a fan of horror movies, but I'm the biggest scaredy cat out there. So I'm the guy who, when you're in a horror movie, people do the jump scares and they get scared. I'm the guy who has got my fingernails into the chair, sitting back in the seat, just not moving until the end. And someone will say, "Oh, you weren't scared at all." And I was like, "I can't speak. That's how scared I am." So that's how horror gets me. But when you're in it, it's a lot more fun.
So as an actor, how do you get into the mindset of being in a horror movie? I mean, like, do you just act it out, or do you actually try to put yourself in that place?
I always try to put myself in that place, but which was great was all of the animatronics are practical effects. All the effects were practical effects. So there wasn't a lot that I had to come up with because everything was right in front of me. So what was scary was actually scary. What was happening was actually happening. So I could put myself in the shoes of Deputy Evan Olsen and realize things are going bad right now. Or, hey, we got to get him out of here right now.
That's true. So let's talk about your action scene, because obviously people who watch horror movies always know you don't want to be a cop in a horror movie.
Very true.
But you actually have an action scene with one of the characters in the film. I'm not sure what that was. Was that a turtle that speaks Spanish or something like that?
That is Tito the Turtle, and I would say, out of this film, is my nemesis for sure.
So So tell me this, because obviously they didn't use actual robotics and animatronics. It's actually costumes, right? That they actually had people in.
Yeah.
So tell me about what did that costume actually look like? Because to me, maybe it was just like, you know, like a college football costume or something like that they actually had to create for the film.
No, I think all the animatronics are specifically made. The costumer did amazing work, and the puppetry and everything. So it was a full costume, Tito the Turtle, and the stunt performer inside is a fantastic actor, and he was in full costume riding on top of the car as we're going along. I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, as it's out today. But yeah, I mean, when you're up against it, it's scary in real life. So, but and heavy. So it's got weight to it, and you can feel the gravitas of what they're doing in the movement and in the action scenes.
Well, I don't want to spoil it either, but you know, your action scenes that you went toe to toe, mano a mano with the giant turtle. So
it's my Ninja Turtle dreams as a kid coming true. So for sure.
was that stunt difficult for you? That, you know, going hand to hand with the turtle? What actually? The better question is, was he heavy?
He was heavy, so it's a big, heavy costume, and he's working it. And then since he's a stunt performer, he definitely knows what he's doing. And I had to be taught. This was my first real foray into, you know, stunt and action work. I'd done a little bit before, but I really relied on him as a scene partner and my stunt coordinator telling me what to do and how to do it. And yeah, but I mean, it's so much fun.
And you practice your screams?
Oh, I've been practicing my whole life for my screams. So
I do have to admit that was a very delightful, scary scene.
Good.
I don't know why it happened, but
but it had to happen, as you said.
But you know, when people actually watch this fun movie, you just basically just watch it for the funness of the movie, and that's what it is.
If you like action, if you like horror, if you like gore, and if you love Nicolas Cage, just like I do, you're going to have an absolute roller coaster of a ride with this film.
Absolutely. So for you, David, you always wanted to grow up to be an actor yourself. When did you start?
So, you know, I started in high school, actually. So I'll tell you a quick story. I was playing basketball and volleyball in school, and I was in a volleyball game, and I got the winning point, and I think I did a victory dance that probably lasted a little too long. And that got me called in by the head of the theater department who had been at the game. And she said, "Hey, look, I was at the game. I saw your moves. You're a really good dancer. You're a ham. You've hosted the talent shows as different characters and stuff. Here's what I'm doing. I'm doing a musical. It's called Bye Bye Birdie. I want you to play the titular role, whose name is Birdie. He's like Elvis Presley." And I said, I'm honored. I'd love to do it, but how do I do this? She goes, "It's great. Go to all your practices and all your games for volleyball and basketball, and there's a half-hour difference. After that, you come to rehearsal. I'll have someone stand in for you." And I was going back and forth between the two, and finally, the coach for the volleyball team, who I told, "I'm going to do the musical, but I won't miss any games. I won't miss any practices," and said it was fine, changed his mind and said, "You know what? It's not fine anymore. I'm not playing you. So you have to make a choice, either the musical or sports." And I think he thought I was going to pick sports, but I talked to my parents and they said, "What would you like to do?" I said, "I love being in the musical. Everybody's having a good time. Everybody's nice. Everybody's singing and dancing. What's not to like?" My dad said, "Great. Go tell that guy to go screw himself." So I did that, and I never looked back.
I was going to ask, could you talk about some of the projects that you have done in the past?
Yeah, so I've been lucky to work on some amazing stuff. So one of the biggest things I've worked on was a Stephen King miniseries on A&E with Pierce Brosnan and Anika Noni Rose, and it was directed by Mick Garris. And it was called Bag of Bones. And that's another, obviously, scary movie. And I get to play a much meaner guy in that one. So I hope people go back and see that and can see sort of the dichotomy in characters I play there. Right now, I'm on a show on Facebook Watch with Will Wheaton. It's a game mixed with a television show. So it's called Rival Peak. And you can play as our characters, which are like The Sims. and it's kind of a mix of Lost meets Survivor. So you play each week, and then after every week on Wednesdays, Will Wheaton hosts the after show called Rival Speak. And I play a character. He's an Australian kind of larrikin, and his name is Christopher, but he goes by Sabun, which is his spiritual name, which he got and he didn't realize meant soap. So we're about 9 weeks into our 12-week run of that show. We've got 3 weeks left, and my character's down to one of the final 4 to win $10 million on Rival Peak. So I hope people go to Facebook Watch and check that out.
That's actually pretty awesome.
Pretty cool.
What kind of roles do you tend to gravitate towards for yourself?
You know, I love comedy. I've sort of grown up doing a lot of improv. I started in high school. I was the president of the Pepperdine Improv Troupe in college, where I went to Pepperdine. And I've been a student at UCB, Groundlings, Improv Olympic West. So all the big ones, Second City. So I've done a lot of improv. Nothing makes me happier than to give somebody a laugh. I do also love dramatic work as well.
Yeah, that's terrific. And I also noticed on your filmography, tons of voiceover work.
Tons and tons of voiceover. So I've been lucky enough to be featured on Family Guy, American Dad, The Cleveland Show, tons of video games like Days Gone on Sony, and countless commercials. So voiceover has been one of the best jobs ever.
You enjoy that better than acting, or you like to do more acting?
It's like asking which of your children do you love more. I love them both equally, but one, you definitely have to, you know, this is how I look. I've got to put the makeup on, put the costume on, this and that. When I go in for voiceover, I can wear whatever I want and hop in the booth and play a multitude of different things.
That's great. Well, David, let me wrap it up with one question. Obviously, you and I mean, I would have loved to speak with you and, you know, person to person, but
I would too.
It's a crazy time. It's a crazy world right now. So I want to know is how you staying sane and creative during times like this?
Well, luckily, you know, not just an actor, but I also like to direct, and I'm a writer, so I'm a member of the Writers Guild. And recently, I've joined them as a host on their podcast called Third and Fairfax. And my first interview that I did with Judd Apatow talking about his film with Pete Davidson called The King of Staten Island is up right now. So any podcast platform. So that's been a great outlet. Writing has been a great outlet. And then, you know, just like everybody out there, a lot of self-care. So getting out and taking a walk and breathing any chance you can. But and then I'll be honest, one of my guilty pleasures is movies and TV. I love watching TV. I love movies. And tonight at 6 p.m. Pacific time and 9 p.m. Eastern time, the cast and I are doing a Willy's watch of Willy's Wonderland, and we'll be tweeting about it live on Twitter. So I hope people will join us for that, and hopefully that can give some people some relief.
I think that's a great movie to actually watch. I wanted to say that this is probably one of the better Nick Cage's role because he doesn't say anything, but you know.
I think he's great in everything. I love his work. So, and again, a pleasure to work with.
That's terrific. Well, hopefully you don't have to meet up with any of those animatronics ever again. But
I hope so. Hopefully they're not here. So, yep, I think I'm all right.
Well, hey, David. Hey, thank you very much for speaking with us. It's been a pleasure, and once again, congratulations for Willy's Wonderland.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you having me, and hopefully I'll see you on the next one.
Hey, absolutely, next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.